As you're listening to this show, you're probably training for a race. But how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has a free online planner that you can use to work out how much carb, sodium, and fluid you need to perform at your best. Brady regularly uses this resealable 90-gram gel on his longer runs. Click the link in the show notes to use the planner to personalize your strategy for your next race. Then use the code INSIDE, all capitals, to get 15% off your first order of fuel and electrolytes and help support the show. Now let's get into it.
Welcome to episode number 341 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Big show coming at you. There's big news out of Paris Olympic. Not Paris, yes it is Paris. I was about to say Tokyo then. Paris Olympic marathon selections. It's impacting Liam Adams we're going to talk about. We got running news from all over the country as well, and a bit of stuff from over in the States we'll have a chat about as well. Good listener question down here on paper, a few whispers, moose on the loose, all the other things you come to expect on the Inside Running Podcast. Massive thanks to our Patreon supporters who support the show and keep us alive each and every week. Welcome to my co-host. He's down in Anglesea, probably the biggest week of his year coming up with the Great Ocean Road Marathon Festival this coming weekend, and he was just telling me off air he's won 4.5 of them, so make sense of that. Welcome to you, Julian Spence.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I've been waiting by the phone for the newspapers and radio stations to start calling, but I think it's just a bit early in the week. Maybe tomorrow they'll start going off.
Yeah, but haven't they gone like real heavy like influencer this year though for people that they're like representing the race?
That's perfect for Moose. He's an influencer these days. He went to Paris, remember?
Yeah, he did.
Certainly not an athlete these days. I'll take the influencer card. I'm running out of options to get in the media, though. So influencer's okay.
Yeah, surely they should be hitting you up for a story.
No, well, 4.5 means came second once, came fourth another time. So maybe 4 3/4 we'll call it.
So you ran it 6 times a marathon down there?
I've also not finished it once.
Okay.
7 times on the start line.
Didn't realise you went around that many times down there, to be honest.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's something like today, like last night, camped in Lawn, where the start line is. Woke up this morning, and it's the time of year right now down here where the sunrise is always pretty spectacular, orange, glow. It's comes up about 7 o'clock, so you're generally out there. And Great Ocean Road Marathon, the start line's always pretty amazing because you're standing out on Lawn Point, and the sun comes up generally as you're waiting, getting ready. So it's a great feeling, and it just reminded me this morning. I'm like, oh, I remember this, and then it's 1 week away, so of course it feels familiar.
That's it. Welcome to our other co-host. He's up in Canberra. He's got a marathon PB of 2:17. Bradley Croker, how you going this week?
Good, thanks, Brady. Happy to be here. There's a fair bit to chat about, bit of news.
Yeah, it's going to be, I feel like the next couple of weeks are going to be news heavy. Just with selection stuff, Diamond Leagues, like we're hitting a good time of the year with some stuff. Yeah, everything's kind of geared towards Paris and it's all starting to happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting seeing like all of our Aussie stars, like we'll mention them over the next month, like they're all taking sort of different angles of trying to either get points or get the time, so it is exciting.
Yeah, and you got like a lot of our listeners would be deep in the Gold Coast Marathon build as well, like 8 weeks yesterday. They were throwing big hay in the barn over the next couple of weeks, so there's going to be some good topics to talk about come training. Thanks to the people who wrote in about the training chat last week as well. DMs were lighting up all week, so I appreciate those listeners that took the time to do that. Let's get into some weekly recaps though, Bradley. You're up first.
All right. Yeah, a pretty good week. 2 sessions, 2 long runs. Biggest week of mileage in getting close to a year, I suppose. So kicked off Monday morning, just over 10.5K, 4:23s. Went to the gym that afternoon. And then Tuesday morning, got up, jumped on the treadmill for 35 minutes before work. So, just set it on 12K an hour. So 7K. And then we headed out to the track for our Tuesday afternoon session. So this session was 5 sets of 800, 400 with 200 meters jog between all the reps. So 800 meters on, 200 jog, 400 on, 200 jog. So normally try and run these 800s somewhere around like that 30-minute to sort of 10K type pace, and the 400s closer to 5K or maybe even a touch faster than 5K, and the 200 meter jogs somewhere between like 50 seconds and a minute. So did this session with Zach, so we just led a set each. So the 800s were 238, 235, 235, 234, 233, and the 400s were 76, 73, 74, 72, 72, and the 200 meter jogs were between 53 and 56 seconds. So it ends up being like pretty much 7.8K at like just under 330 average. I quite like that session, sort of just working at a few different speeds, never getting like the reps are never long or hard enough that you can't recover, in 50 seconds of jogging. Got through that okay.
Explain to me what kind of effort you're running those 800s in, because if you were going too hard, that would be difficult to recover in 55 seconds. Yeah,
so about sort of 10K, okay. 10K sort of effort, yeah.
Still pretty solid.
Not too bad, like on the track. Like when you think about sort of, I don't know, 10K pace, and you're doing 2 laps at it. Yeah. And so as I said, it's not long enough because it's only 2.5 minutes. Whereas if you're doing that for maybe 5 minutes, then it starts to become a grind. But I find 2.5 minutes at that sort of 10K-ish pace, like we're recovering fine in 53, 55 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit harder in the 400, but once again, you're not burying yourself that much that you can't recover in 50 odd seconds of jogging.
Out of your group, Croaks, how many stay with you?
It was just me and Zach.
Just one?
So none. Yeah, we just took turns of we just led a set each.
As a coach, when the workout starts, and I imagine there's a few people that are 1 or 2 seconds a lap slower than you, maybe 3 seconds, but they're probably. Do you do coaching throughout the session? Like, do you say, "Oi, too fast, get back"? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, so this session's really hard to do that because it's 7.8K continuous. So it's different, I suppose, if you're doing like K reps off standing recovery, because you can see how close they are to you and you sort of regroup. Whereas here, like, if they're not with you on the first lap, they're never going to be anywhere near you. So you can't really say slow down. But they all, like on their programs, they all have roughly what pace they should be running per lap for the different reps.
So you don't, like the jog in between is supposed to be a slow jog?
50, between like anywhere up to 60 seconds.
Yeah, but the idea is like okay. So what does that mean? What pace is that?
Well, so a minute is 5-minute Ks. So for example, somebody like Rob. So Rob would have been running probably 3 to 4 seconds. Yeah, 3 to 4 seconds a lap slower on this session. And he would have been the next guy in line behind Zach and myself. And it's like, you never see him because within 400 meters on 4 seconds up, 800 meters on 10 seconds up, and then we're pretty much jogging closely to the same pace in the recoveries. And then I'm putting another 4 seconds into him every lap.
So the spread's too wide to be able to jog together for the offs.
Yeah, but before the session, like we do go through like what sort of effort and they should be running. So it's 800s at sort of that 30-minute to 10K pace, 200 jog in up to 60 seconds for guys like us, a bit slower if something could be like 70, 75 seconds for other runners. And they all get it on their program what pace they should run the 800s at, what pace they should run the 400s at roughly.
Yeah, so your group, like we know the value of a group, and even doing workouts with others, how much flex do you give them to join others throughout the session?
Yeah, so it sort of depends on this. Like this one, I think you can get into a lot of trouble if you're like 2 seconds, if you're more than 2 seconds a lap faster than where you should be, because you're never completely stopping to rest. Whereas if you're doing, say, Ks off 90 second standing recovery, you can probably like push the envelope just a little bit more. But for the continuous ones, there's probably only like a second or two. Yeah, but the good thing about the group is there's little pockets of people together. So generally, like there's not really anybody that's often on their own. But even if they're on their own, still being out at a track, knowing that, you know, everyone out there is doing the same thing. Like people do get lapped, so you do give them a bit of encouragement as you go past. Did that answer it all right?
It's a good workout. I like that.
So then Wednesday morning, got out for my midweek long run. So I did 95 minutes, 4:25s. Didn't feel much different to when I normally run like 4:15s. I was a bit but it was good. Like I made a real conscious effort to slow down. Got through that. Thursday afternoon, a bit wet here actually on the Thursday. So just did a lap of mulligans, 4:24s, just over 8K, and a few strides afterwards. Then Friday morning was another session down at the lake. So this one, we sort of do our bread and butter 5 by 6 minutes off 1 minute slow jog recovery, but I mixed this up a little bit I've got a fair few guys doing like Sydney 10 this weekend. And sometimes we do like 3 by 8 minutes closer to 10K pace in the lead up. And so what we did this time was we alternated. So we did 1 6-minute rep closer to sort of 60-minute race pace or effort, and then 1 6-minute rep closer to sort of 10K effort. There was the option for people to take slightly more recovery after the faster 6-minute rep, but we just did them all off 1 minute slow recovery. So for me, I went 3:23s for the first rep, 3:15s for the second, 3:23, 3:12, and then 3:17. First 2 reps for me felt pretty garbage. I think it's just an age thing and a morning thing that even after a 20-minute warm-up and some strides, the first couple of reps still feel pretty ordinary. And then the longer the session goes, the better I felt. So that ended up being, just under 10K at 3:26 average for the whole thing. I'm not sure what the recoveries were. Like they weren't probably as fast as normal, probably closer to sort of high 4-minute Ks, like 4:40s to 5 minutes probably. That was Friday. Then I got out on Saturday morning for an hour, just ran from home and finished at Lily's Hockey, 4:16s. Did 35 minutes in the afternoon on the treadmill, another 7K. And then Sunday, met Jack. I did 2 hours 15, 32K, 4:13s. So that's my longest run since, I'm going to say, maybe 2 weeks before Gold Coast last year. Felt pretty good. So that was a week of 136.
How far are you going to go in the Gold Coast pace and preparation?
Well, for my long runs?
Yeah. You going to put out much more than that?
I reckon I'll have 1 or 2 weeks where I might just go 2.5 hours. Because we got, 7 weeks this weekend. So I'll probably go something similar this weekend, maybe a little bit longer. And then I've got, then I'll probably have a down week because I've got then the Wollongong half the following weekend, and then I'll probably go a couple of longer ones after that.
So you're going to race that half seriously?
I'll do it because it's obviously it's not like Gold Coast, and there's a bit of like dirt and a bit of grass and stuff like that. But I'd like to go sort of that's, I don't know, like if I can run sort of somewhere between 72 and 73, like knowing that it's probably...
You'll do that easy.
Oh, I don't know.
You would. This is an impressive week of training. If you can't run 72, 73 jogging...
I don't know what the course is like, but anyway.
68,
I'll go there,
69, easy.
I'll run it solid. Like I just want to come away from it with like just knowing that, you know, with another month's training that I can go through 72 minutes at Gold Coast and feel all right.
Will that prize money they pay down there? You win it?
Don't know. I think it's a little bit.
Okay, you definitely know. There's no way this guy hasn't looked that up, Moose. Looked that up. What about the old he didn't upload his run yesterday morning, Moose?
Well, I was wondering when you're going to bring this one up.
All my mates are messaging me like, what's happened to Krogs? How fast did he do his long run? How come there's nothing on Strava? I'm just like, he told me he forgot his watch, which I knew was a lie. And then he tried to upload it today, sneaky, about 11 o'clock on a Monday when everyone's at work, tried to hide it in the algorithm. People still spotted it. 4:13.
I used the Coros yesterday. The Coros doesn't upload automatically whereas when I use the Garmin.
Bullshit.
No,
don't even bother.
Coros yesterday. But yeah, it was obviously faster than 4:25s, but it was okay.
Felt easy. Most of it was downhill.
It wasn't all downhill, but 309 meters of elevation over 32k. So it's less than 10 meters. Like, it's not like, do you guys honestly think that 413s with less than 10 meters of elevation is me like flogging myself on a Sunday?
It's not the point. The point was we said you couldn't do it, and you said you could do it, and you proved yourself wrong, and that's what I love about it.
Were you impressed with Wednesday, Moose?
Wednesday? Jeez, you're going to have to...
425s?
Oh, not really. I mean, that's after a workout.
Yeah, I know. I definitely need to... Yeah, so the Wednesdays is the one that I'm definitely consciously making an effort to really pull back, whereas, I don't know, like the Sundays, knowing that I've got this sort of marathon to sort of prep for, and I don't do a session on the Saturday, I don't think, well, compared to the past, 413s is about 10 seconds a K slower than I would normally do. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, you're really sensible. I want a slab off that too, by the way, Brady.
Off what?
Off him running 413s. We had an over-under. I think it was 4:15 in the end, and I got it.
Do we have two bets on last week? Because we got the Kipchoge Bikili Kenyan one. The Olympic
we had this
double.
For sure. I think this was... I'm not sure whether we talked about this on the podcast.
Surely I get a six-pack out of that, Moose. I've just helped you there.
I would have never been backing the Croaks to slow down.
No, you did. This was it. We had a bet on this.
No, I'm pretty sure we had a bet on the Olympic results. Kipchoge Bikili.
Yeah, we did
top
that.
5.
We did this too, off air.
Did we?
The Instagram thing Brady put up, 425s, like that was always like, that wasn't even an interesting one. Really.
I think didn't you challenge him to 425s last week, Moose? Wasn't that the number you pulled out?
Yeah, I changed it to 422s in our group, and that's what you took.
I do remember we put it in the group. We didn't put a slab on that.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think you can't just make things up like this.
Anyway,
I'll have to scroll back.
I'll send you through my requests later. But yeah, 136k for Brad. This man was on his deathbed 6 months ago, and now look at him.
Yeah,
funny you say that, Moose. So yesterday was the 12-month to the date that I went to the doctor, because I had that session on the Friday morning, week after Sydney 10, where I was like, my heart rate's 200, I'm short of breath. So it's exactly a year yesterday that I went to the doctor.
Yeah, shit. There you go. And now look at you. You're the pin-up. You're the pin-up for heart problems.
Well, I don't know.
So is that just kind of all done now, Croaks? Like, is it, you're in the clear?
Yeah, where are we at with that?
Yeah, so I do have to go back again. There was chatter going back around June, and I think the next step, and it's probably like, well, I'm sure there's always like an ongoing review, and obviously just monitoring like how I feel. But in terms of the testing, they're interested in maybe doing another MRI, because it will have been 12 months since I've had an MRI, and that'll show whether there's any like structural change in terms of like the scarring. And I think if that all like comes back pretty normal, then Andre was already happy in February, saying like, this heart rate trace looks pretty perfect to me. Like he said, if somebody came in and I saw this for the first time, I wouldn't be concerned. So I think I will go back sometime June, July, and get an MRI, and then hopefully that's sort of it. But I've been feeling like I haven't had any symptoms at all, like no shortness of breath. No sort of crazy beats like in bed when I'm sort of lying on my side. It all seems to be in normal rhythm.
Full steam ahead. I love it. I did just check that message, Moose, and there's no way we even mentioned I was the one who took under. You see that message there, Croaks?
No.
I'm definitely not paying up that one. I've got some evidence of that. But anyway, that's boring radio. Moose, what do you got for your weekly recap? We've lost him.
It's not happy.
Yeah.
Why don't you do your recap? You're the one that's been actually running a bit.
Yeah, you do yours.
Just figured out that he hasn't won a slab and he's gone quiet. What did I do? I got back into a bit of jogging. Monday, did 60 minutes easy in the morning at 4:33 pace. My heart rate was pretty low for this one. I averaged 132. So it gave me a bit of confidence that the recovery stuff was kind of working. And then after work, I did do 30 minutes. I taught Monday, so Monday was a big day, like run before school, teach all day, and then, I just like doing a bit of a jog after school for my own mental health more than anything, not to like gain fitness there. And, just when you go from working with kids to then coming home looking after kids, 30 minutes of fresh air is a bit of a game changer, especially then when we record the podcast on a Monday night. So it's a big day. Tuesday I did 16K and then strides. Felt good here. No like quad DOMS awareness from the marathon. So I like to tick the box with strides and do them pretty much like no awareness or do them pain-free to then, think I'm all right to do a workout. So that was good Tuesday morning. Wednesday I did 4 by 5 minutes with 90 seconds jog between, and then 4 by 1 minute with 1 minute jog between. No pace showing on my watch. I just went on complete feel. When I looked back afterwards, it was about 3:20 K pace average for the 5 minutes and 3 minute K pace for the 1 minutes. Been wearing those New Balances a bit, Moose, the ones you hooked me up with. The
Rebels?
The Super Shoe one.
Super Comp trainer.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Don't know if I'd pick it for a race, but it's a great training shoe. Like it's
not a race shoe.
Oh, it is if you're sponsored by New Balance, isn't it?
I don't think so. Super Comp trainer.
No. What's Super Comp Elite?
Yeah. The Elite. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. You can jog in that for sure.
I was doing a workout in it. I like it for workouts as well. It's quite good. Thursday we had Roman Nath Pearce in town from Garmin Australia. He was selling some watches to the local bikes shops up here, I suppose. So met up with him and Archie. We did an hour, 4:22 pace. It was a real highlight listening to the two boys have a bit of a debate about why the sunrises look different in the country compared to the city. So, two of the smartest guys in Australian distance running arguing their points. So Archie thought it's because we don't have as much light pollution, and Nath thought because the soil's different in the ground that affects the sunrise. So I'm not sure who's correct, but those two were bickering at each other for a few Ks there. Friday did 11K, listen to Road to Gold Coast. We got lucky. We didn't get lucky. We put some prep time into that, but that panel's going to be fun to listen to for the next 8 weeks. That was a very entertaining listen.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. I listened to that on my Saturday morning run and then finished it off on the treadmill that afternoon. It was very enjoyable. And Moose, I couldn't work out whether you're actually serious about the greens that you take, because we got given some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, AG1.
Yeah,
you got some too.
Yeah, I think we all got it.
Just around at my house one day
too.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite work out whether you were taking the piss or not.
Yeah, no, it is pretty ridiculous, but every time I've taken it when I've been sick, I've recovered really fast. Now I'm not the kind of person that would buy into this normally. If someone told me that, I would say, you are kidding yourself. But I actually did take it, and it's super expensive multivitamin that mostly you'll just piss out, right? I'm still taking it when I feel sick because I feel like it worked in the past, and I didn't pay any money for it, so I didn't waste my money on it.
Do you get headaches off it in the afternoon?
Oh, no, you told me that. Yeah. No, I never get that.
I took it for a while and was getting these little kind of like just annoying headaches, and then I Googled it and there was heaps of like Reddit forums and stuff on it.
Okay, interesting. Well, no, I never got that.
Which I think was just like an overload of all the multivitamins, like just too many of them for myself. Not sure. So that was good. I enjoyed listening to that. Did some surges. Saturday morning I went down to a Chukamama park run. They were celebrating its 300th event and 7 years. So they invited like the people who were on the original committee that started it up back 7 years ago, down to do a bit of a presentation and stuff. So that was good. Jogged with a mate. I didn't realise he was having a crack, so we kind of, we rolled 3:13 average pace. So, yeah, he did well, 21 minutes something, I'm not sure, maybe 21:10, something like that, Stevie. So, it was good to get back down there. And then we went on a family trip to Hanging Rock. It was the second round of the XCR season. New venue. You guys would have heard of the book, wouldn't you? It was book or movie? Picnic at Hanging Rock?
I don't know. I think it was a book, but I never read it.
But it's not true, is it?
I think it was a movie too.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fictional.
But didn't people think it was true?
Movie.
Isn't that what the thing is, the controversy, that like for years people thought the author was telling like a true story?
I think in our message group, Ali thought that it was true.
I think I think a lot of people may have thought that for years. Anyway, it was a very beautiful setting. I'm talking about an hour north of Melbourne, so like Bendigo side, Chukamoama side. So it was good. It only took us like an hour, 45 minutes to get there. I was planning to go to do a bit of a tempo run. I know the 12K cross country is usually pretty poorly attended, like not too many people. Well, some of the faster guys just don't have a crack in it. So Nathan and I, we thought we could probably, take it pretty easy and come about 20th. So that was our plan. We both, pulled up all right from the little workouts we did during the week. So we went off. It was a 2K lap, and then there was 2 5K laps. Our surface was I reckon the best way to describe it is just like Australian bush, like fire trails, like compact kind of dirt, grassy like horse racing track, very unstable, but didn't have to wear spikes. So, most of the field had super shoes on. I know a few people had spikes without the actual spikes on as well. So, it was a cool course. First time we'd been there. We went out at I'd say, a pretty kind of conservative pace, and we were coming 23rd after the first lap. And then we just kept the same pace and just ran through the field. I think we were maybe 14th after the second lap, and then we finished in 7th and 8th. And our lap difference of the 2 5K laps are like 3 seconds. So we kind of kept it super even, which is, I didn't look at any pace or anything like that because it's a cross-country race, and just worked on feel. I would love to say it was tempo, but I probably got a bit of white line fever halfway through the race. It was good. We were kind of like just passing like people constantly. So it was a fun way to kind of race. And then, Lockie Morehouse, the social media guy from Athletics Australia, who have been trying to tag in stories for the last 7 years to get a repost and stuff. For some reason, he doesn't like us, so I'm not sure why. But he went past us, and I just thought, not today. This guy ain't beating me. So, just kind of sat on him for a while and got a bit of a ride through the second lap. And then, me and Nate kicked away probably about, 3 or 4K to go. So, fun way to race, pretty relaxing. Good to get some points for the bats. We finished second.
Pretty relaxing. You come 5th, didn't you?
Seventh.
Imagine if he actually tried, he would have won.
Yeah, I should have put some good, decent running shoes on. Just pulled an old pair out of the shed. Ones I raced Ballarat in. No, I wouldn't have won.
You're a road shoe. Is it what sort of course was it? What sort of surface?
I told you, didn't you listen?
Come on, mate. I think I zoned it out. It was grassy.
I'm looking at his splits. He's telling me he's doing a tempo, so I went into his splits and really had a look
at my heart rate. I think my heart rate average was 170, and that was pretty accurate too.
I can see some pretty big spikes in here.
Of the heart rate, up the hills.
Yeah, 177. That's not tempo. 177.
No, it definitely wasn't tempo. It was definitely
179.
It was very even, but I was going faster than the tempo.
Have a look at the end of it.
So on this, Brady, I don't know if you saw her on Patreon, but Scott sent in a little bit of a list.
I saw that. That was a good question from Scott.
I'll read it out. You guys are all good, well-respected coaches who have a track record of improving athletes. Brady has just run his fastest ever marathon, put his body through more stress than ever before. What are your thoughts on him doing a 20K run less than a week after doing a double 8 days after, and then this weekend racing cross country? Does he need to respect the marathon/distance more? I don't know any coach who suggests 20 kilometres 6 days after and doubling 8 days after.
Don't check.
Good point.
Good question, Scott.
Don't check Tom DeCano's Strava, Scott, because if
No,
mine's
it's not
worrying
about,
yours.
This question's not about Tommy. It's about you. And
Yeah, I know. It's a great question.
Would you ever write what you've done the last 2 weeks? Would you ever write that for anybody that you coach?
No, definitely. But I don't coach anyone that's run injury-free for 20 years and kind of build up that level of probably resilience and that, like, you know, ability to stay injury-free and listen to your body. And for a long time there, I had this... I remember we just debated it, Moose, or you kind of opened my eyes to it. I had this theory that you almost need to follow the same script 4-week marathon recovery. But then I think the point you were trying to make at the time were everyone's kind of different and you can't just like go copy and paste and go, this is the best way to recover from a marathon. So to his point, like, yes, it was my fastest marathon, but it was probably the easiest marathon I've ran because I was able to run the full distance. So I don't think I have the same level of fatigue as if, say, I'm cooked at 32K and I've somehow got to stay out there and try to get another 10K into the body. And even like the travel factor, like not coming back from Europe or Japan, not getting hammered on the beers afterwards probably has helped my recovery because I usually do that when you're overseas at a marathon. So I think the big point is there that you got to listen to your body. And my body's telling me that I don't have significant DOMs. The workouts felt comfortable. He's picked 3 runs out of a window of 14 days, whereas the other 11 days are probably very easy 125 beats per minute jogging. So I've probably only been able to do those more stressful things because I've been super easy on the other days as well.
But do you think your body can deceive you? Like, there's certain things, I reckon, certain markers that can't be felt as such like by waking up and going, oh, my legs feel good, I'm not tired, I'm going to go and do a workout. Do you
like
think
a blocker, you mean, like where the body's not talking to the brain?
Well, just like certain accumulation things where it feels good until it doesn't and at that point you've gone over the limit.
Yeah.
And that's why having something in place to prevent that from happening can sometimes be important.
Yeah, and I always used to think as well, like, don't be the hero that's running well 3 weeks after the marathon and then in a hole 6 weeks after. Like, you want to be coming into shape 6-7 weeks after kind of thing. So, and that's... You also do have to look at, on that, you have to look at building rest and downtime into your year. Yeah.
And if you're not doing that after a marathon, then when are you going to do it?
Yeah, spot on. I think, Coach, you spoke about that last week. Like, you don't want to start putting Chicago on the calendar now and going, all right, circle that, let's get to work. So, yeah, it was probably the combination of the team concept that kind of hooked me in for this one. But now I'm going to, originally I was thinking just having 2 weeks pretty easy and then getting back into things, but it's going to be more that 3 to 4 weeks with a couple or just that one race sprinkled in there. So, I knew driving home, I'm like, that was a bit harder and a bit closer to that level of stress than I probably wanted it to be, and probably got caught up a bit, white line fever racing and everything feeling good kind of thing. But I'm now very much like I'm still going to be pretty chilled out for the next couple of weeks. So it's a good question. I don't know if I answered it. What was the last thing? No, I'd give it to somebody else. No, I wouldn't. But it's the same as, I'd use the Tommy example. Like, different people do different stuff. And it's not so much a see this, do that. Mm. So, but I really do think listening to your body is the most important thing.
It becomes easier when you're experienced. When you're inexperienced, you don't really know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it even impacts like how your marathon goes as well. Like, I've probably, I don't know, might have had 2 or 3 people do Ballarat, and they're all doing different. The next month looks different for all of them, depending on if it's their first marathon or their 5th or what they got later on in the year and things like that. Did you have that planned out before their race? Like, did their result change?
Yeah. So the result influenced how you plan their recovery and rebuild and rest?
They probably all would have the similar first week, and then the communication between, checking in probably 3 or 4 times since the race over the last couple of weeks, like how you're feeling, like what do you like, stiffness first thing in the morning, little things like that to try and give you a bit more intel to be able to how you then structure probably the 10 days to 20 days after the race. Like when can you, and then even like, so as I said before, it's like, all right, like I got a guy, doing strides. I want to know that how do those strides feel? Because unless those strides feel perfect, there's no way we're starting workouts. So little things like that, the back and forth is just so valuable because it's a high risk time to get injured.
I'm not sure about that.
It's a high risk time.
No, I'm not sure about like if someone does strides and they feel great, then we're doing a workout. Like I think you should be planning rest in. If you feel good, that's a bonus. Like that, if you recover and DOMs are not as bad as they were in other marathons, then great. That's a good thing. Like feel good for your rebuild, feel better with less soreness. But I don't think that you go and accelerate the process because you don't have as much. I don't
You're
know.
still in a recovery period, but would you start including some intensity somewhere?
No.
What's Ellie doing? Is Ellie back to, because what's she doing?
She had COVID, so it was a bit different. Yeah.
And that's a perfect example. Different sicknesses coming back from overseas.
Yeah. And I mean, different. She came off 2 marathons as well, like a reboot marathon.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing as well, because I got sick in the Ballarat build-up as well. I don't think I was carrying that much fatigue as I usually do into the race. Like I think I only averaged 130 Ks between maybe Osaka and Ballarat.
I would argue, and I wonder if Croaks would say the same, that if you're coming off a reboot marathon, one where you didn't like take that normal downtime afterwards and you got back into marathon training quite quickly, that you probably should take a longer rest period after the second one.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got like an even bigger and more important marathon in like 20 weeks.
Yeah, but I didn't go back into marathon training. I did something pretty similar to Ali where I did faster stuff for about 3 of those weeks.
Yeah, but you went back into training pretty quickly rather than like did the traditional, we're going to have 10 days off and then we're going to jog
day
for
a
2
mile,
weeks or
whatever like that. Yeah, it's all interesting. And the proof being the pudding, the next, how I'm tracking for, like I want to run Gold Coast in 8 weeks, a half marathon. So like that's really, how I'm going to be running then is more important than how I'm running 2 weeks after.
Well, I reckon Chicago is. But
I feel like this is the problem for you now, Brady, is because you've come off these 2 back-to-back marathons and you've sort of said that you're taking it really easy, but the last 2 weeks, it's like, yes, it's been easy in one respect, but it hasn't been because you've still been, like, you pretty much went out and raced on the weekend, and now you've got one eye on Gold Coast, which means that there's no way you're going to cruise around for the next month because you still want to run well at Gold Coast. And then after Gold Coast, it's Chicago. So I feel like just from a mental point of view, you just need to take the foot off the gas for a period of time. And who cares about Gold Coast half?
Yeah, well, it's the kind of the event to do when we're up there. I also got offered a pacing gig up there, Croaks. I might take that now.
Yeah. Oh, replacing Croaks?
Nah, a bit faster and a bit more pay than Croaks gets.
Oh, bit more pay.
With the fellas. Nah, I haven't even spoken to him about pay yet. You know how Malcolm Hicks did that one yet last year?
Yeah.
Something similar to that.
Oh, like a
220, yeah.
Like a subcontractor. Like you've got a separate business doing it.
He was getting in like, what do you mean separate business?
Like he was
that was Sydney Marathon, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Nah, this was through the normal streams. So anyway, we'll watch this space the next couple of months. Then I just did an easy 35 minutes on the Sunday, 4:45 pace, which was a bit sore. Didn't want to do a medium long run or a long run because it was a Sunday. So I'm like, listen to the body. Let's just go nice and easy. 35 minutes. So a week of 110. So that was fun. Do you want me to tell you about the race while we're on it?
Yeah, go for it.
So Seth O'Donnell got the win, 37.29. Harry Norman was second, 37.58. And this was so pleasing to see. Michael Kernahan, a long-time AV runner, everyone's favourite Strava follow. He was third. I think his first AV medal. I could be wrong there. 37.58. So it was so good to see him get a medal. Mentone got the win. They beat us. They beat us by about maybe 10 or 12 points. So I think one of their first wins in Premier Division for a while as well. And then, so Bendigo second, Western A's third. Jessica Coyne won the women's 44.29. Bianca Puglisi was second in 44.36. And Alice Oakley Kerr was third in 45.06. Sandringham got the win there. Previously known, Moose, as St. Stephen's.
Yeah, wow.
Because I think someone said Sandringham women were in Division 7 or something like that. No, maybe that was their men in Division 7, but now they've merged with St. Stephen's. So whatever St. Stephen's were, that's where Sandringham now are on the ladder.
Merged? Is that an official merger?
I don't think it is, but I don't know. I know the Frankston Pigs boys, they're not happy about it because they wanted to win Divi 2. And now they got Sandringham just like smacking them up every week. South Melbourne was second in the women's and Melbourne Uni third. Yeah, what do you need?
So Sandringham's gone up without actually winning a championship, is that right?
I have not done the research on it, but my sources from Frankston tell me yes. I think they jumped from...
Remember when the Bats went up to Div 1 without winning a championship?
Div 7 to Div 2, though. We went from Div 2 and we were winning Div 2 when the season got shut down 4 rounds in due to COVID, and then we got put up.
Doesn't matter how many places you move up, you still moved up without winning.
Careful here, big fella.
Well, the season ended and we were winning our champion, and we were winning our division, and then we went on to win the next 2 premierships. So it was a good move from Athletics Victoria, our friends over there.
Well, what about Sandringham? They might win Div 2 and then come back and win Div 1.
Oh, they will. They would have beaten the Bats on the weekend, their point score.
I wonder,
how do they get all these guys?
Answer me this, though. You've got such a strong team.
Yeah,
right?
we had 6 across the line before Mentone, but they had some better points.
No, not you, sorry. I'm talking about, say that St. Stephen's, right, last year. They're pretty strong contender. They got Div 1. They win Div 1, or second maybe, or top 3 anyway.
In men's?
In women's.
Oh, yeah. Very strong, yep.
And in men's, they if they put their full team on the pitch, then they come in the top 5, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you fold?
I don't get it.
Who's not doing behind the scenes work there to get that sorted?
Sandringham must be loving it, though, because they've picked up, it's weird, because they've picked up pretty much all their athletes and recruited some, but not Reece Edwards.
So, well, let's just say Sandringham, right? Where were they last year? Div 7 was their top team.
Yeah, supposedly.
So how are they still going? And St. Stephen's fold, and they're the ones that kick along, and then must be some. I mean, I don't know the backside, but surely there's some mismanagement going on if you're having to fold.
Yeah, and they won the flag a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Yeah. Didn't they win 2 in a row? They were successful. I don't know.
All right, boys, wrap up the AV chat. Come on.
Move on. Moose, what have you been doing?
I thought we were skipping AV anyway. Wasn't that the rule after they slagged us in their coaching courses?
I did get a reply to my complaint there. Did I tell you about that? I think I shared that with you. Mm-hmm. In summary, we're sorry you're upset. Don't be upset next time. But anyway, we'll move on from that. Thick skin over here at the Inside Running Podcast. What have you been doing, Moose?
Oh, I got a week of jogging. So I jogged every day. That's pretty much the nuts and bolts of it. I can't even tell which day is a weekend because I just run the same every day. So we started on the 6th of the 6th, I think it was. No, it was the 7th I ran, 36 minutes. Then on the 8th I ran 32 minutes. And then I had a day off. Then on the 10th I ran 40 minutes. And on the 11th I ran 28 minutes. And then big run, 40 minutes. Yesterday on Sunday morning. So the body's pretty good. My left knee, which was the injury that took me out for that time frame, like a month or so ago, is been really good, but my right knee is starting to grumble a little. I could run further than what I am now. I just don't quite have the effort, energy, drive required to structure some mornings to get the time required. So at the moment I'm waking up and I'll go down and check the surf, and if the surf's good I'll go for a surf. If the surf's shit I might go for a run, but by the time I've done that then I've kind of cut out the ability to run longer. And so I'm just messing it up. And I've also made a lot of appointments before work, like store-related appointments. So I'm getting to work a lot earlier. And I'm doing the same thing for after work too. So I'm just not on the treadie after work. So at the moment, what was last week? How many Ks? I can't see that right now. How do I see it?
Tell you. Hang on.
What kind of? Oh, yeah, that button. Yeah. So this week's. I don't know. Why can't I see that?
You're on 10K for this week. Last
that's
week
today.
You're on 36.3.
36. And you know what? I felt pretty good. That's 5 days. 5 days, 36K. I told you guys I wanted to run an hour on the Sunday, but I didn't get there because I ran out of time because we made it blue. And anyway, Bree's been picking up the running. So I'm now the second priority when the times get made for who needs to go for how long. Mm-hmm. So Bree will go, well, I need an hour. And so then I get the remainder.
So you're carrying the bags when she goes to New York.
Yeah, you're the Ryan Cox.
She's the athlete and you're the bag carrier.
I'm the Riley Cox, yeah. I actually don't think that I'm going to get to New York the way that interest rates are going. You'd know that, Croaks. You just bought a house.
Yeah.
And Brady's got 4 of them.
We haven't settled yet, so.
Do not have 4 houses. Part-time school teacher.
So Bruce, like, other than your knees being like 100%, what needs to change for your sort of mojo to come back? Because I feel like you're sort of a bit disinterested at the moment.
Yeah, I reckon I just need a more settled home environment at the moment. This renovation has really rattled me. It's just... You wake up here and I'm walking down into builders in the house already, basically. They're getting here early, just after 7, and I'm trying to, like, I've got to kind of get work done. I've got to get the baby's, like, the toddler's starting to complain a little bit more and starting to get a bit of independence. So I'm like, let's go change your nappy. She says, no, runs the other way. You know, things just take longer when the baby gets a bit more human.
Well, it's not a baby anymore.
Well, no, it's not a baby at all. And she says no, and I say yes. And then, do you know what she says to that?
No.
Yeah.
I saw Pia on course, actually, on Saturday. I was going past it, jumping over a log or something, and then there's just Pia on the side of the course with some guy with a massive white moustache.
Oh, yeah, that's Barbie.
I remember thinking, like, I hope she knows that guy. Because Bree was nowhere in sight.
Yeah. Do you give her a high five?
No, I did give my own children a high five, though, which was, it's cool taking your kids to run races these days and kind of, getting to high five them on the course. At one stage, I looked ahead. Buddy Hudson has thrown a stick onto the course. So I'm looking up the straight, and my parents came out from Bendigo, and my dad is walking on the course to pick up a stick off the, like, legit running course. I'm just like, Jesus. But it's amazing that you think about those things in the race now, whereas you never would without them being there.
Oh, yeah. If they're throwing sticks on the course.
Yeah, Carly reckons he nearly took out Seth O'Donnell. So that could have been good for the Bats points, actually. I can tee that up next time.
That's good. Yeah. I'll get back. No doubt. I'll get back. I think I need to start running with the group a bit more. You know what I need? I need a Sunday where I get dropped up a couple of hills and I come back from that run and I've got absolute spuds that are dropping me, and I get back and I get in the car and I go, sort your shit out, because that ain't happening again. That's what I need.
You need a 17-year-old to come back out from America.
Oh, that would be some inspo.
Yeah, that would get me going. Well,
you need Ali to get back rolling. That will help you.
Yeah, she'd be fitter than me right now. I'm amazed at how unfit I am. Like, I've been going up hills right now, and my chest is hurting from how much expansion there is, like, in my lungs, because how much I'm sucking them in. I'm like, it's like I've been underwater for 20 minutes and I'm just getting the first breath of air as I get to the top. It's incredible how unfit I am. That actually motivates me a little bit, because I'm starting from scratch and it's holding me back. I'm not rushing into it. We'll call it that. I'm just playing the long game here, playing the long smart game. Great Ocean Road this weekend. That's always good. It's always good to go to a running race to get a bit more motivation.
Oh, especially when you've won 4 times, or 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
4.5. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be down there this week, and maybe do you reckon I'd fly to wear all the medals that you've won? Like,
nah, that's fine.
Yeah, get around on the Saturday.
No one can ever take those away from you, mate.
Yeah.
I thought you would have had your own little autograph booth set up for Saturday afternoon.
Listeners, if you see Moose down there,
collect their bibs and then get an autograph with Moose.
We should do another one of those selfie comps like at the Gold Coast last year.
I should be firing the gun on the start line.
Louis Phillips is doing that, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, big. Yes. Oh, you're right about that. They're going after influencers. But it's a Brooks thing too. Brooks, the brand, they love influencers. John Dutton not happy with that as a former Brooks athlete. They are giving all the love to the influencers, the social media stuff, and they're dropping their athletes.
Yeah, Johnny's not running happy.
Oh, good from you, Crokes.
Yeah.
Not running happy at all.
As you're listening to this show, you're probably training for a race. But how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has a free online planner that you can use to work out how much carb, sodium, and fluid you need to perform at your best. Then they have a range of fuel and electrolyte products to make it real easy to hit your numbers. Brady regularly uses their resealable 90-gram gel on his longer runs. They also work with a long list of top runners, including four-time Olympian Lisa Waitman, Hayden Hawkes, and regular guest on the show, Izzy Bat Doyle. Click the link in the show notes to use the planner to personalise your strategy for your next race. Then use the code INSIDE to get 15% off your first order of fuel and electrolytes and help support the show. Patrons can get 20% off using the code shared in our Patreon-only shows.
All right, let's move on. I did say quick show's a good show. Let's maybe try to cap this at 60 minutes today, boys. We're at 49 minutes and we haven't got to anything other than ourselves. Let's thank some Patreon supporters though. Bradley, kick us off.
I got Isabel Pickett. Interesting story from Isabel. So she's an Aussie living in the UK, but is very well travelled. She studied psychology at the San Diego State University, where she played NCAA Division I lacrosse, did a master's degree in teaching at the University of South Australia, worked in Brisbane, and is now the head of psychology at St Clair's in Oxford. It doesn't appear to be on Strava, but I did find the following results. 16:58 at the Sandgate Park Run, 34:31 at the 2022 Bridge to Brisbane 10K, and 77 minutes at the Sunshine Coast Half. And last year at the London Marathon, she ran 2:44. So quality athlete is Isabel. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel.
What
Fast times.
St Clair's?
It's a school, I think.
Like a university?
No, or like a high school, I think. So head of psychology. So I suppose it's sort of like counselling type stuff. I'm guessing.
Oxford, England.
Oxford, England. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't psychology be a subject at the school?
Oh, potentially as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the school could have a psychologist as well. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you might be right there, Brady. They might have a psychology unit.
Might have 10 teachers teaching psychology, and she's the head of it.
Mm.
Let us know, Isabel.
San Diego?
In the United States.
Yeah.
No, I've never been in the United States before. That's why I'm looking forward to Chicago later in the year.
Yeah, well, get yourself to San Diego. That place has pretty much agreed upon, universally agreed, the best weather in the world, best climate. Running okay. You can run through a few spots there, like through some canyons and that, but just the best weather ever. It barely rains in San Diego. Awesome.
Is that where that Carlsbad 5K is?
Yeah, well, sort of. I think it's between San Diego. It's north of San Diego towards Orange County, halfway in the middle.
Okay. Who you thinking?
I've got our man Cam Smith. He's from Torquay, and he is a teacher as well. He's a fellow chalk warrior. Is that what you call yourselves?
Just chalkies.
Just
chalkies on the chalk.
So he's from Torquay. He lives in the Sands, actually. He runs with the Surf Coast Track Club and Geelong Region Cross Country. Haven't spotted him for a while, but that could be a me thing, not a him thing. He's famously underperformed in races, Cam. He's run 15:37 park run. Now, that's no good for Cam. He won't be happy with that. 15:46 for 5K. I think that was at that Surf Coast meet. Also not very good for Cam. 31:58. Now we're talking. 31:58 at last year's Albert Park 10K. That is his best result in running.
That was a terrible day too, the weather. That's worth 31:15 on a good course. Good weather.
Was it? Yeah, I don't think I was
real
there,
windy. All the U-turns. It was wet.
Yep. 73 minutes to finish second at the 2023 Port Fairy half. Not this year. That was last year. And 2:35 at the 2022 Melbourne Marathon. He also ran Sydney last year and ran like 2:37 or something, which is probably better than that 2022 race. Cam's a funny guy. Funny story about Cam. Once talked shit about me on a Tuesday morning. And then when we got to Sunday, he was very quiet. I said, Cam, and someone told me on Tuesday, they said, Cam Smith's been talking shit about you on Tuesday mornings. Said, can't remember what it was. Said something like, you're really mature on the long run on Sunday. It's like being around kids at high school or something. And then I got to Sunday morning and then I started giving it to him and he just quietened down. I said, Cam, you're a real pussy. Like, you can talk shit about me on a Tuesday, but you go quiet like a little bitch on Sundays.
I like that from Cam.
Who was the snitch?
Who was the snitch?
Snitches get stitches.
Good call, that. Actually came from a couple of sources, so I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. But Cam, no, he's a good guy. He lives next to your boy, your Lululemon yoga man.
Yeah, Ryan Mannix.
Yeah, they're neighbours.
Literally next door. Okay.
Next door, yeah. Cam often features very awkwardly in some of his Instagram content because it's frequent. And so Cameron's like, gets the camera shown on him and he looks at his shoes and he fidgets with his fingers. Like, not a real natural in front of the camera, Cameron.
I met him when I was down there doing that workout. Seems like a very nice fellow. So Cam, regardless of what Moose has been saying the last 2 minutes, we are very appreciative of your Patreon support. I want to thank Cameron McNeil from the UK. He's got PBs of 17.50 for 5K, 36.55 for 10K at the 2023 ASICS 10K, 83 minutes at the Big Half Marathon, and 2:57 at the San Sebastian Marathon. He is an enterprise account executive at Asana, which is the leading enterprise work management platform that helps organizations work smarter. Smart guy. That's a good title.
What does that mean?
I reckon to do like their online calendars and stuff, wouldn't it, Croaks?
You think that's AI?
Yeah, I reckon a bit of that kind of stuff, like, yeah, your Google Docs, your calendars, your scheduling, all that kind of stuff put together, maybe. I don't know. Could Google it, but we've got a lot of running news to talk about. But it doesn't mean we don't value you, Cameron. So a massive thank you to all those people on Patreon. It's a good time to be a Patreon supporter at the moment, especially at that top level, Road to Gold Coast every week. Caught up with the monthly boys last week. That was a good show. Chris was telling us all about Boston Marathon, and he did a course preview. Yeah, caught up with him. It was good. The boys are up and about. Chris not happy with you though, Croaks. He said he's happy to take shit off Moose, but when Croaks starts throwing shit at you, that's when you know things are going poorly. And he's had 2 good results since.
Really?
Yeah, he was fired up. Yeah.
Have you released this?
Yeah, it went out last Wednesday night.
Oh, I missed that.
Used a bit of Dr. Dre as the intro music. You'll enjoy that when you hear it. Yeah, it was good.
Chriso going Croaks, I like that.
Yeah, Chriso's back going.
That is some beef I want to see.
He's running well too. He's had a few decent runs since Croaks let him up. So,
you reckon Croaks would beat him right now?
Yeah, if Chriso doesn't, I think he ran 31. Didn't he run 31:20 or something overnight?
Chriso?
Yeah.
No, he didn't run 31:20. Surely not.
He ran 10K on the track.
He broke 32 minutes.
Yeah, 31 something.
You reckon? I reckon you beat him at the moment, Croaks.
I reckon we put him in like a charity boxer match or something. Chriso versus Croaks.
I'm taking Chriso. He weighs 94 kilos.
Weight's back down a bit.
I'm not fighting Chriso, but
he ran 31:43 for 10K.
I reckon
15:54, 15:49.
I reckon bang for buck when it comes to how much we train, I'd have him beat.
Yeah, but all different creatures, Croaks.
I've said this to you blokes. There's only one bloke in Australia who trains harder than Chriso with worse results, and he lives in Bendigo.
Oh, the Beast.
The Beast. The Beast. That man is an absolute workhorse. But
that's why he's got the nickname The Beast.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be getting much fitter from it. That's the problem.
I think he's had some injuries.
It's a Chriso problem too.
Anyway, you can catch the monthly over there as well.
It is good to see Christian bounce back, though, because he has been down for quite a while.
We were much more positive on that show,
yeah.
So tune in.
Talk about a boxing match and Croaks becomes a little pussy.
Yeah.
Starts talking about how great he is.
Starts backpedaling pretty quick, didn't he? Running news, Croaks. What happened at Doha Diamond League?
Yeah, so it wasn't probably the most exciting Diamond League. From an Aussie perspective, the 1500 women's 1500 was the best event. So Hailu went out with the pacemaker and had like a massive gap on the field, like, probably 30 meters. And Jess Hull was sort of in that chase pack. But then Jess almost like ran it down the straight. So Hailu faded in the last like 100. She hung on for the win, 4 minutes, 0.42. Jess Hull was second in 4 minutes, 0.84, and Nelly Chepchirchir third in 4:01.19. We had two other Aussies in the field. Not great days for Georgia Griffith, who finished 11th in 4:06, and Abbey Caldwell was 14th in 4:12.
4:12, hang on. This is the first time I've seen these results. What happened? Did she fall over or something?
No,
Abbey?
She was just so Abbey was just like never in it. Georgia, really? So Georgia actually coming through like close to 300 meters. She like on that sort of home straight. She sort of went out wide, went past the field to move up, and then on that next bend, sort of got clipped and knocked, and she was out in like lane 3 and lost a fair bit of momentum. So she didn't have a clear running, but Abbey was just off the back from the she was just never really in it.
What's
which
that,
was
15 seconds?
Result.
What, 13 seconds, 15 seconds off her PB?
Oh, not 15.
What'd she run? She's broken seconds. 4, hasn't she?
Yeah, I think she's like 59.
That's a big difference in a 1500.
Yeah. Anyway, she'll bounce back, I'm sure. Men's 1500. So Brian Coleman got the win in 3:32.43. Held off Tim Chariot, 3:32.67. And Reynold Chariot was third in 3:32.96. It was a real weird race. So Nordas from Norway, like he finished 6th in 3:33. There was almost like this arrogance from him. Like he was right at the back of the field, right up until like 300 to go. But at 300 to go, the whole field was still there. So he's trying to go through the whole field with 300 meters to go. And so never really put himself in it. So it's probably a disappointing result for him.
You just quickly, you boys heard of Brian Coleman before?
No,
never.
How these blokes get in Diamond Leagues? I've never heard of him before. He's obviously done something to get in a Diamond League, but here he is, just best, like beating Tim Chariot.
He had the Nike Pro kit on as well.
Oh, that's good to know.
Well, I'm just saying, like he's got a deal. It's not like he's just come off
the
streets.
Well, he's in a fucking Diamond League.
Yeah.
He's obviously known to a lot of people, but I never heard his name before.
Oh, I just thought of Coleman, the record holder, when I saw that.
Did you?
Last night?
Did you?
Daniel Coleman.
Come
out of retirement.
No, I didn't think it's the same person. I'm just like, maybe it's
Kenya.
his brother
There's
or
like
something.
10 last names. There's like
Kiplagat,
Chariot,
Chepchirchir,
Kipchoge.
Yeah, that could be a stereotype, boys.
Women's 5K. So Chebet got the win, 14:26. Tay was second, 14:29, and Issa third in 14:34. So Chebet was on the pacemaker. Tay went past her when the pacemaker sort of pulled out, tried to sort of wind it up a little bit, but you guys should go and have a look at the last like 200 from Chebet. So Chebet tries to go up the inside with 200 to go. Tay sort of closes the door, and then Chebet just cracks the shits. And like they closed the last lap in 60 seconds, but I reckon the last 200 would have been like 28 or something. Like Chebet's last 200 was so impressive. Should have a look at that. Steeple, Firewoo got the win in 8:07.25, beat Kibiwat 8:07.38, and Wale was third in 8:09.69. And then the last one was the women's 800. World champ Mary Mora got the win, 157.91, beat Gemma Riki, 158.42, and Yarago was third in 158.7.
I reckon it was Coleman's first Diamond League. Looking at some of the races he's done, only got results starting from last year. Ran 3:33 last year.
Where at?
Poland, somewhere.
So they've is he getting pulled from the track in Kenya for that, or is he running? Like there must be a manager who's going, trust me, this guy's going to do it. We've seen his training. Put him in.
Kipkeno Classic, which is big meet, obviously in Kenya, Nairobi. He ran 3:32 to be second in April.
Yeah.
So I reckon that's put him on the radar. But it'd be so interesting to figure out how they feel those fields.
We won the All African Games.
Yeah,
as
gold
well.
medal there too.
Yeah.
Watch him come Paris, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe how they fill those fields. Like, I don't know the full details, but I believe that there's an overall budget, and that there's a meet, like the athlete director, and they basically go out and they chat to other agents, and they fill the field with their budget, and it's a different manager or a different athlete director at each Diamond League, and so they're all athlete managers that fulfill this role, and so like they can look after each other in certain meets, and it is very, I think it's very little bit of give here, a little bit of take there.
Who you know, not what you know kind of stuff.
Well, I think if you pat someone on the back here, then you can expect something later on.
Okay.
And if you
this is good intel from you.
Is that a whisper? Is that a whisper?
Maybe some whisper of the week.
I've just heard this is how it goes down. And
Stay in your lane. Your moose on the loose. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe how it is. And if you get offside with anyone, then you can maybe lose your athlete's spot at that particular Diamond League, maybe. So you've got to sort of be friends with everyone to a degree.
Okay. Let's get to the big news, the Liam Adams news, the Road to Paris news. Croaks has got it labelled here, the Universality debacle. Do you copy and paste that from somewhere, Croaks?
No, made it up myself.
He said, well, yeah, so let's go with what we know. So in the past, tell me if I've got this correct, countries that have nobody qualified in the track and field program can put an athlete from their country into the 100 metres, 800 metres or marathon. So that country can sit back at the Olympics and say, we have someone to cheer for.
I'll just jump in there, Brady. So
correct?
In a way, that's what it is now. It used to be more events they could put them in. So
okay.
the only events they couldn't put them in the past was the 10,000 metres, the decathlon, and maybe one other. Whereas World Athletics now have said it either has to be the 100, the 800, or the marathon. But there's only 3 spots available for the 800. So the rest have to go in either the 100 or the marathon.
At Sapporo, there was one athlete in the men's marathon, I think I read. Mm-hmm. So how this matters is Liam Adams is sitting 73rd out of 80 for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's got to stay under that 80 position in the point system. He finally gets to the end of the qualification period and he is still in that 80, and then news comes out that they will be adding 11 athletes for this Universality program, I guess, which bumps him out of the 80 and he loses his spot. Mm-hmm. Summarise well?
Yep.
So he wakes up, he goes to bed one night thinking, I've been shitting myself for the last 3 months about staying in this 80, I'm clear. And then he hears this news and he's shattered. Also impacts one of the athletes from the US. This one's quite interesting because the person who finished 3rd at the US trials hadn't ran the time. Another athlete, CJ Albertson, had unlocked the 3rd position for the US because he was in the quota. So that other 3rd athlete, Korea, could then take that because he finished 3rd at the trials. But now he's also been bounced. And the US won't like that because the US pride themselves on that. First 3 across the line, you go into the Olympics. So they've been replaced by 11 athletes. Out of those 11 athletes, 2 of them have a 2:17 PB. One has a 2:18 PB. Another one has a 2:21 PB. Plus there's a guy who has not recorded a marathon at all. And then there's another guy who has a PB of 2:18 but hasn't done it in the period. For an Australian bit of flavour there, Jordan Guzman, who has been on the show back in the early days, now represents Malta. He is one of the athletes that is now in that position. So I think his PB is maybe 2:13 from Chicago. So yeah, terrible news for Liam. What are you boys thinking? When you saw this news, our DMs were lighting up and yeah, it was quite an interesting situation.
Well, like if you look at the women's, so the women's marathon, they wanted originally like 80 in the field, but more than 80 women have actually hit the standard, so they can't then just take the top 80. It's if you've hit the standard, you're entitled, so the field is bigger than 80. But then for those universality athletes on the women's side, they've just added them on top of who's already qualified for the Olympics. Whereas, for the men, they've actually taken quota spots from people. So, like the common sense one would be you have 80 people who have qualified on time or through the quota, and then you add these athletes on top of that, and you make it 91.
Yeah, that would be the
garbage.
Common sense.
Isn't it just a garbage thing to happen when you've got a qualifying standard and you've got as complicated as they've made it? We've kind of worked it out. Everyone sort of worked it out. Liam had worked it out. He'd seen his position. He basically decided that he's not going to run another marathon because he doesn't need to, because he's going to bank on getting in on points. He becomes at the 75th rank or 73rd ranked athlete. So he's all good. And then they just absolutely pull the rug from under him and go, oh no, we want these people get the spots in front of you. It's just blatant. It's just so immoral from the. I think it would be the Olympic Committee, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be World Athletics. Would it be the Olympic Committee that do this?
I think it is World Athletics because it's only a program. So like Jordan Guzman's country, for example, Malta, haven't got anyone on the track and field program, whereas they could have athletes in a whole different other events at the Olympic Games. So I think it is just a World Athletics thing.
Yeah, well, whoever it is, it's total shit. Like, if you want to add more people on top, put them on top. Like, who cares? Like, go from having 80 people to having 90 people. That's okay. No one complains. And we get to cheer on someone who maybe for them, they might feel like a half-earned Olympic spot, because it is. Like, they didn't qualify for it. They've been gifted a spot on the start line, which I'm not sure how they would feel about that, to be honest. Like, how would you boys feel about if you had a mum somewhere or a grandma Croaks and you'd made this move across to run for
East Timor,
the Republic of Croker somewhere, and the World Athletics come along and go, you know what? There's people in that country that want to cheer someone from your Croaks. You go and run this time, okay? You go and run at the Olympics. Yeah. You feel like you're an Olympian?
No, well, I would have even felt that way if and this is no dig at you at all, Moose, but I would have felt that way in a way when the world champ standard was like 2:16, and let's say I'd run like a minute faster and call. No. Listen to me. No, hear it out. It's not, Moose. It's not having to go at you.
Fucking qualifying time.
No. All right. Well, when it was 2:19, okay. Let's say, remember when it was 2:19?
And qualifying time.
And I'd run 2:17. I would almost feel guilty going to the World Championships with a 2:17, knowing how many better athletes in the past, like you guys like Brett Cartwright. Oh, I guess Brett Cartwright did go to a World Championships, but I know there's a heap of athletes that were way better than me that never got the opportunity to represent their country because the standard was crazy fast. Remember when Athletics Australia used to make it harder than what World Athletics?
But that doesn't quite that doesn't make sense to me, because
that's my mentality, in that I wouldn't feel even me running a 2:17, potentially making a world championship team at that. I would feel guilty.
It's very different to that, though.
I know it's different, but that's just my mentality, knowing that where a 2:17 sits in the landscape of marathoning, and people have made teams with that.
I respect you, Moose, and I was Googling how to represent different countries.
Sorry, Moose, that came...
It's fucking qualifying time. You just play by the rules. The goalpost.
2:14 is very different to 2.
The ball goes through and you're going all right.
I'm batting for Josh Harrison, those guys here, Croaks.
Oh yeah, they're the real blokes copping this right now.
But they just did what Athletics Australia and World Athletics asked them to do.
But you can see my point, though. How many top athletes in the past have missed Olympic Games because of these crazy... I thought it was having the standard back at 2:19. I know we're going off a massive tangent here, but making the standard easier was probably one of the best things for marathoning in this country, because people were like, hey, there's a chance for me to make a team here. I'm going to actually give the marathon a crack.
And you know how many people went to the World Champs in China when it was 2:19 for the men?
120?
No, for like the Australian team. How many people we sent? 0. No one got it.
In when?
Was it 2000? And when it was in China, the World Champs, we had like Troopy and somebody else were running pretty quick, but all these guys were trying to run under, I think it was even 2:20 at the time. Maybe it was 2:19 flat, and no one could do it. You had guys like Skillsy Hardigan, Steve Deneen, a lot of people like put their hand up, not hand up, but they went to races to try and run that time, and they couldn't do it at the time.
Because I feel like if I look back at athletics in the last 20 years, I feel like really sorry for a lot of those athletes that probably should have represented the country, like running like they were 213, 214 marathoners.
Who are you talking about? I don't know who you're talking about here.
Oh, well,
we get back to Liam Adams.
Yeah, get back to this.
Come on, Craig.
Because
This isn't
Liam
about
Adams
you.
is sitting there. Liam Adams has run
2:08:39.
2:08, and he's qualified for the Olympics through the method that they provided on paper to him that he could. He's gone and done that. He's ticked every box required, and they've still fucked him over. It's just I saw that and I felt sick for how bad that must feel, sitting at home and just absolutely fretting over what's going to happen. Like, this is the Olympics. This isn't the World Champs. It's not the Com Games. This is the Olympic Games, and this is every 4 years, and it's what we hold up on an absolute pinnacle above all else, the Olympic Games. And this is a chance for Liam to, not that it's sort of like really come forth to him, but like this is a chance to become a career athlete, or to be a professional, to get brand endorsements, sponsorships, all of that. And for him, what will this be? Like his third Olympics? So it could be like
went to Rio, nearly fell over at the finish line in the rain there.
Yeah, third Olympian. Like, he becomes a legend here if he isn't already. And it's not anything like he could have. If they said, "Oh, Liam, like you're in 75th place, we're going to give 10 spots out," he would have gone and run somewhere else and
Hamburg.
run faster.
He was entered
He would
for
have had a
Hamburg.
crack at it. It's been taken away from his control, and that's the worst thing about this.
There's still a chance he could get in though. Like, either common sense prevails and they just add these people on top of the 80, but also if countries knock back a spot. So like, let's say, remember New Zealand, for example, they used to not send people even if they hit the standard, because they're like, well, we're only going to send people if we think they're a chance of a medal. So there is the opportunity for other countries to do the same sort of thing. Say, look, we're not going to send this athlete because we want our standard to be even harder than world athletics. Or if one of the athletes, let's say a country has one athlete qualified, but they're now injured and they don't have anybody that's run to 11:30, so they can't even replace that athlete, they'll have to give up a spot. And so there's still a good chance. And because he's 85th, like they only need 5 people or 5 countries to give up a spot. So there's a good chance.
It's lucky that the US was one of the countries that lost the spot.
They've got some power here, big power.
That's right. Yeah, they can crack the shits big time and start to pull some strings. Especially if that career. Is he a Nike athlete? Because that would help even more.
I think he's US Army, isn't he? Which might be backed by Nike.
Well, that's even better, yeah.
Another way as well, because the qualifying period isn't finished for the other events, like track and field, so I'll use the Malta example again. I think they had the example in the Let's Run article that there's people within the rankings, say long jump, at the moment that then could... Do you know what I mean? So, like, say there's 30 spots in long jump and 15 people have the qualifier. There might be a Maltese person in position 22nd, but it just hasn't closed yet. So then I assume then they go, oh, no, you're no longer in the marathon because now you've got a guy in the long jump. Which it's weird that they then announce these people so early. It's all bizarre.
Just give the people their spots and add on these bullshit other places.
Well, they've kind of done that in the women's marathon, haven't they? They've said there's 80 spots and now more ladies than 80 have run the qualifying time, so they've increased the field.
They can. There is there is the potential to increase the field, which exactly like what you just said.
Watch this space. I was talking to Liam today, and he said he's doing everything in his power to, trying to get this awareness there and overturned and stuff, and hopefully have a yarn with him shortly to be able to put on the podcast. More news, Croaks. No, Moose, this is you. Australia announces the team for the World Juniors.
Oh, yes, junior athletics is just my passion.
I gave it to you, Moose.
So it's going to be in Peru. There you go. 27th to the 31st of August. We have a pretty stellar team going, actually. Now, I'm going to read out the team. The distance team, anyway. 800 metres. We got Marie Sally Warnake from Queensland. Coach, am I doing the coaches?
No, I don't read the coaches.
All right. Claudia Hollingsworth. In the 1500 for women, Ada Rand and Cleo Richardson. In the 3K, Gabrielle Schmidt and Amy Bunnage. And in the 5K, those same two athletes will double. And in the steeplechase, Mia Tui and Allegra McGiven. Now in the men's, we've got in the 800 metres, Hayden Todd and Peyton Craig. In the 1500, Daniel Williams and Cameron Myers. 3K, Kai Hare and Cameron Myers. And then in the 3000, Toby Chippendale. So that's the team going in August, and we'll obviously chat about that closer to the time. Then there was also the South Australian 10K Road Champs, which was held at the Adelaide 10K in, guess where that was? Adelaide. Riley Cox won, but it looks like he held hands again with his brother Jacob for a 29.40. The win, look, all I'm doing is reading the results out, and first place has gone to Riley Cox in 29.40. It seems like Jacob Cox has also run 29.40, so I'm unsure what happened at the finish line. We can only assume that Riley was the superior athlete there and took the win. And second place was Luke Mitchell a fair while back in 31.10. In the ladies, Elodie DeWitt, 37.52, beat Lisa Davis, 38.26, with Madeline Kelly, 38.39. That's the state champs over there, fellas.
And Brady, just getting back, you asked me what athletes was I talking about with that thing about people that have missed out on the Olympics. Like you think about somebody Pat Carroll. Pat Carroll's run 209.39, never went to an Olympics. And then you've got people being gifted a spot running 221. Because
your example was people like Josh Harrison that qualifying when the time was 2:19. You were saying they should feel bad.
That's stiff from you.
When he ran 2:17 as well. You were saying he should feel bad going to a major champs, given that Pat Carroll didn't get to go to an Olympics.
Yeah,
and you brought Moose into it as well.
Oh, real rough.
That's right.
I mean, all I've done is done what I could, mate. I've just done what I could.
But you can see where I was going with it. Like, you feel guilty that some of these, really good athletes, never made a team, even though they've run, incredible times.
Why should I feel guilty for them?
I'm not saying you should feel guilty, but, I personally, if I was to represent Australia having run 2:17, you'd think that a 2:09 runner would have, represent, Pat Carroll did represent Australia at certain championships, but there's a few athletes like that never, anyway, we'll move on.
It's one of the weirdest takes you've ever had on this show in the 7 years, I reckon, Croaks.
I don't mind it. I like when you get weird like that, Croaks.
That was just look, it was my own mindset in terms of if I was to have somehow qualified with a 2:17, I would feel almost like I don't deserve to be wearing it.
Would you not run it?
I would, of course I would run, but deep down I'm like, oh, there's been a lot of better runners than me that haven't represented Australia that should have. And so that makes me feel a little bit guilty. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Different eras though.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think of that.
Next bit of running. Sorry. Sound running. Over Sound Running Track Fest. Sort of stumbled across this yesterday afternoon. Had a few Aussies over there. Nat Rule. Remember when Nat Rule, was it 2 years ago, had a bit of a breakthrough, ran low 15s?
15:04, I think, yep.
Yeah, so she's back. She ran 15:07 in the 5K, finished second behind Safan Hassan, who ran 14:58. We had Jenny Blundell in the same race, run 15:19. Sam McEntee ran 13:25 in the men's 5K. Andre Waring was over there running the 10K, 28:56, and Holly Campbell ran the 10 as well, 32:23.
Why the hell is Safan Hassan running that race and running 14:58?
Probably like the first part of her training session. It's like, like I don't feel like going and training by myself today. I'll jump in this race and then I'll go out and do something afterwards.
Yeah, that has to be it. That is a strange, unless there's good prize money. I highly doubt it though. Those races aren't about prize money; they're about qualifiers.
She doesn't need prize money. Imagine what she gets for appearance fees at marathons. And
no, she doesn't need that sort of prize money. No.
That's it. The last bit of news from me is the 2025 London Marathon public ballot applications. So this was in the news. They had 840,318 people apply. It's an increase of over 250,000 from last year. Only about 2%, so 17,000 of those people will get a start. So that's my wife's in there. She's got her fingers crossed for about the 5th year in a row trying to get her name picked out. But I haven't told her yet that she's got a 98% chance it's not going to happen.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Why does she want London?
I don't know. She's always just puts her name in for London.
Not New York or anything?
Nah, she only ever does London. Oh, maybe she did do New York one year, but London's definitely been a common thread over the years.
And thanks to Dave Tarbottom for sending that information through. And he also sent this bit through. So drug testing in the lead up to Paris. So the Athletics Integrity Unit is requiring that any athlete who wants to compete at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games must complete 3 out of competition tests by 4th of July 2024, with the first test by the 3rd of May 2024. This applies to the 8 Category A federations, which include Bahrain, Belarus, Ethiopia, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, Russia, and Ukraine. So that's good from the Athletics Integrity Unit.
Yeah, but
so the interesting thing here is, does that mean that the federation has to be getting these tests organised? I'm guessing it's not WADA that has to get them organised, because say like someone's training in, I don't know, the back country Belarus, like do they have to organise their own test done, like in an official lab, or what's the go?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But it also causes a few issues for these countries. Because remember, one of the Kenyan athletes at the Com Games wasn't able to compete because he hadn't had 3 tests done. And so, anybody that wants to obviously compete for Ethiopia or Kenya, that they have to have had a test by now. 3rd of May was the first test. So any athlete that hasn't had a drug test by the 3rd of May from Ethiopia or Kenya can't compete at the Olympics. And they need to have another 2 more between now and the 4th of July. So
I remember that that happening.
Yeah.
Listener question, Croaks.
Okay. Hey, guys, love the podcast. Would love to drop a listener question. Enjoy when you rate a Patreon member's PBs from 5K to the marathon. I observe that often the shorter distances are acknowledged as the better performances, and based on my own PBs, I feel I've underperformed in the marathon. So he's run a 76-minute half versus a 2:48 marathon. How do you recommend to really fulfill potential in the marathon from a semi-decent half marathon time? And that question comes in from Dan Richardson.
Good question, Dan. You can take this, Moose.
Can I?
Yeah.
You're putting it on me.
You're always the one when we do the Patreon numbers, their PBs. You have strong opinions about which one's the strongest. This is your ballpark.
How do you recommend to really fulfill potential? Well, the marathon is always an easier target after you've been running for a longer period of time. And I feel like most people that we have, like we talk about on the podcast, Patreons and such, aren't sort of lifelong runners. So it's a lot harder for them to achieve success in the marathon purely because they haven't got the miles in their legs and they don't have the volume of training behind them. So really fulfilling potential in a marathon, well, I guess if you've got a semi-decent half marathon time, it shows that you do have a bit of endurance in you, like you do have a bit of slow twitch strength. It's about linking up. It's such a boring thing, but it's about linking up training programs from one race to the next, to the next, to the next, without getting injured. So that's how you fulfill your potential. It's not about running a good half and then going to Bali for 2 weeks and not running a single day and then coming back slowly and training for a 5K, but you get back into it and your Achilles get sore and you have 2 weeks of downtime. And then over Christmas, you decide to stop training because it's all a little bit hard. Like, that shit will never get you. Like, you'll be able to pull off races and the shorter distance having that type of mentality or training structure. But in order to nail a good marathon, you're going to need not just 1 year, not just 2 years, but probably 3 to 4 years of uninterrupted, consistent training. And that's how you'll fulfill your potential.
Good answer, Moose. I like that from you. Anything to add there, Bradley, for Dan?
No, not really. It's more if you just look at like a lot of the recreational runners, which are the ones that, probably, the Patreons and the people that listen to this show, they're often restricted by how much they can train per week. And so you can get away with a pretty good 5, 10, and even a half off like not super long runs and stuff like that. Whereas like I've known guys in the past that I've started coaching and they've run quite well over 5, 10 and even the half before they've come to me. And you look at their training and you're like, you're actually doing quite well to run these times off the type of training you're doing, but you just, you're running an hour 45 maximum on a Sunday or whatever, or potentially even 2 hours. And you got to be, there's not really anybody that's going to fulfill their marathon potential off like 2 hour long runs. So they're often just not doing the volume and they don't have the strength behind them to convert from the half to the marathon. Because as we know, the marathon is really just a completely different event to everything shorter than, or from half down really.
Yeah, different world, isn't it? It's like a different sport in a way sometimes.
Yeah.
I got some whispers for you, boys. Keep an eye on Morgan Mitchell, your mate from Osaka trip a couple of years ago, Moose, Mizuno. Potential move coaching groups to Justin Rinaldi's Fast 8 Track Club.
There we go.
Come across my desk today. Thanks to that person sending
Currently coached by Liz Matthews.
Yes. Yep, correct. Luke Matthews' mum. So not sure. She's coming in as a whisper. I think it's pretty reliable. The other reliable, well, I don't know how reliable because I've heard it at 3 sources now. The women and the men for the Olympic marathon have been contacted and told if they've made the team. That's across my desk. You guys have anything better? You're
not going to name your whisper though, the actual whisper of the team?
No, because I don't think that's fair because I'd want it more locked in than the sources I currently have. And if there are appeals and stuff in place, it could even be changed. So we'll wait for the official announcement. But things are
so
things
what's the
are moving.
whisper then?
The whisper is it's in the works. People are being contacted.
Well, we knew that was going to happen. It was getting picked last week. The team.
Did we?
Yeah,
okay.
the team was getting picked last week. I said that on the last show.
Oh yeah, you did so. So
I hate how this stuff gets leaked. It's just so.
I don't even know if it's official. I don't know if people are just stitching me up and saying, "Hey, this is the team." So,
that is the whisper, though, isn't it? We know the whisper. Look, let's just put it out there. The whisper is the team's been picked, and it's not the 3 fastest ladies that are on the team. Let's leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Your words, Moose. Your words.
No.
Moose,
that's your whisper that you've sent to me, and I'm relaying it.
So let's say that like when it is released, that is the case. What do you think the general public or the running public, will they generally be? Do you think there'll be a lot of people disgusted that they haven't gone with the 3 fastest?
General public will be, but running public should know that you got to pick the best championship team, not the fastest. Like, look, Kenya, they didn't send their fastest. But it's an easy clickbait headline saying they haven't sent one of the fastest 3. Whereas they
pretty much picked their fastest, Kenya.
Nah, the chick. I think there was a girl.
Oh, the chick's one, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the lady show I'm talking about, yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if it goes into mainstream when the team does get selected.
I reckon it will.
It will, because there's been mainstream articles about it.
A wide world of sports.
Yeah, so it'll definitely go out there, and I think there'll be a lot of heated debate about it, and I think it will split a lot of opinion.
Yeah.
This was always going to be the case, though. Like, you've got 5 really good girls going into 3 spots. All of them, all of them have a case. Or 6 girls, I suppose. But yeah, watch this space. Do you reckon we'll know next week?
You reckon we'll know next week? Yeah, you got to.
So what happens? Hypothetical. So if you get the phone call last week and said, "Congratulations, you're on the team. We've got a 24-hour period for any appeals, so don't say anything." And then you get contacted the next day saying, "Don't say anything, there's been an appeal." So then if you get contacted again and saying the appeal's been successful, you're no longer on the team, can then you appeal?
I think you would be able to, yeah.
And you would be able to appeal. So, yeah. So then it might be like, hold up, we've got another 48 hours until that appeal's heard.
I reckon all the girls that got the initial phone call, or assuming they did get the phone call saying you're on the team, and obviously an appeal could come in the next 24 hours, I reckon all 3 of them hang up going, I'm going to get a phone call tomorrow because there's going to be an appeal. It was always going to go.
Not because they're all quality athletes, and you can make a case for every single one of them why they should be on the team. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, watch your space. Moose on the loose. Let's bring this show home.
Oh, do I have them? I did have one. And actually, I was going to come to the defense of someone who's been getting hammered on social media. I haven't written his name down. Apparently, he's a journalist. We sent it in the group today, didn't I, boys?
Yeah, I'll find it for you, Moose.
You find their name, but he's been fighting a good fight on Ned Brockman's social media. He's the bloke who you brought up last week, Brady. You didn't name him or anything.
Yeah, I didn't have his name off the top of my head, but he was getting slammed.
Will Cockerell.
Keep going, son. You're doing good work in there. You're on the front line in the trenches on a Brockman post, actually stating some facts, and the Brockman army isn't liking it one bit. But he's basically gone on. He said all the things that you said last week, Brady. He said it's the same sort of situation as if like a hypothetical would be if you said that you were going to go break the marathon world record, and then you start getting all endorsements for companies and paying you money and all this sort of thing. That would be a similar thing. So, yeah, good on you, Will Cockerell. If you're ever floating through Instagram and you end up on a Brockman page, then go give this bloke's comment a like, because he needs a bit of support in there. It's a bit one-sided on that page.
What about what you sent through, Brady? You sent through the screenshot of Ned's Strava run from yesterday.
He did something big on the weekend, 70K or something, didn't he?
So around 70K around a track, but like the GPS file's gone all crazy. So the track's like, there's basically 10 different shapes of a track, and it's got 70.01, and he's written, "Don't shit down my throat for the 4 minutes of toilet time discrepancy." And it's like, mate, 4 minutes is fine. I'd be more concerned the fact that you haven't run 70K given the GPS error. But,
he needs to activate track mode.
Does.
So what do you reckon he's really done? 65K?
60.
2 things I'm looking forward to not talking about for a while is him and this women's marathon team hypotheticals, who gets picked, who doesn't get picked. I feel like I've been banging on those things for a while.
Actually, Ned's activity's been flagged.
Oh, has it?
Someone flagged it.
What about our hoppers blocked by him?
That's gold. Yeah, I reckon we should, start a petition. If Moose can tell everybody how he got his nickname Moose, then Hopper will tell us why
he got blocked. What did I had something during the week? Remember I said remind me about this when we're doing Moose on the Loose next week? You remember what that was? Something fired me up early last week.
I'm just looking at some of these K splits from the start-finish point of some of the K splits for Brockman's run, and they're finishing at like 800 metres, Croaks.
Yeah, it's all over the shop.
There's no way this is on track mode. You know how easy that would be to put your watch on track mode, and there you go. It counts your laps for you and everything. Mm-hmm. Gives you the exact same. Like, this is all over the shop.
Doesn't look as good on Strava though, Moose.
800. This K split finishes at the 200, like at the 100 meter mark. It's actually like 790 meters. The next K split 790. Next K split 790. I don't know what's going on here, but it's not right.
That's a long way out.
They should be finishing on the other side of the track, right? Oh, actually, maybe I've got that wrong. Sorry. That could be my bad there.
Could be your bad. All right, what's coming up? Rabat Diamond League. That's 19th of May. No start lists for the distance races at these stages. Great Ocean Road Marathon's happening down Moose's Way. There's a Los Angeles Grand Prix track USATF meet where Ollie Hoare's going to be running. He's still got to hit the 1,500 metre qualifying time, doesn't he, Brad?
Yeah, he does. So I believe there's a few other Aussies running there, but there's no start list for that either.
Seco Golden Grand Prix. Tokyo. See how I say Grand Prix correct there, boys? Ramsden and Davies and Izzy Bat-Doyle in the 5K. Georgia Griffith and Sarah Billings in the 1,500 metres. That's all I know that's coming up because it's all written here in front of me. But Moose, what do you got coming up?
Well, big week for me. Big week. Conference. So off to Melbourne. Going to do our thing, Done that on this show enough times. So I'll be up there Wednesday, Thursday, then Friday, pack the van, head down, set up Great Ocean Road, big expo. Come buy some shit from me. We'll have some good stuff down there. I was going to say come say hi, but don't do that. Just come buy some stuff. That'll be Friday night, Saturday, Sunday night. So pretty full on. Got the family down there.
Matt Gunther going to win it?
Well, he's in the race and he's reasonably fit. He will be a contender to win it. We'll put it that way. He told me this week, he said, I want to win this race, but I don't want to be sore afterwards. And I'm like, that's for the fucking gods to decide. That's not for you to decide if you'll be sore after a marathon.
Yeah, you don't think about the day after a marathon.
Nah, that's not we want that out of your head right now. You can't go in thinking, I better look after my quads here. Fuck that.
It's real You're there to win that race. Track club mentality, I reckon, Croaks down there. bit soft with their culture.
Well, didn't it break Toby? Was it last year or the year before? Yeah. Busted him.
He's back jogging now a year after.
You know what, though? That money that he won there paid for all his scans this year.
I bet that wasn't what he was planning on spending the money on.
No. Do you know anyone else race a moose? Oh, you got elite fields? Women? Men?
No, it's not. They never really play that up here. Ali's trying to get a start and a half. She's desperate for some coin too, I think.
Oh, because it's sold out. She'll get in, won't she? Surely.
Oh,
local hero.
Shot it. Well, yeah, we'll see how we go. I mean, She's got an agent, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing, Croaks?
Packing. We move next. We get the keys next Tuesday.
Oh, he'll be on edge next Monday night, Moose.
Last night in the
house, yeah.
Last night recording. How's Russell going to go with the move?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he'll be fine. Bit over Russell these days. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. You know when dogs get really old?
Oh, really?
Really annoying. Yeah. Dog. Vic's dog, not mine.
He's gone you and he's gone Russell in the one episode.
Fucking Russell's the family icon, like 10 years old or something.
Yeah, he's 10 years old, actually.
How can you get angry at an old man French bulldog?
Viv would back you up there, Moose.
Yeah, no.
It's a pug.
He's an angry man. Angry man.
Pug. Sorry, cheap version of a French bulldog. It's a pug for the poor man.
I tell you what, they're not that bloody cheap, pugs.
Aren't they?
No.
They look cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, don't have a nose.
Hey, boys, you booked your flights to Gold Coast, that live show. We should have some details about that in the next couple of weeks. That's all getting locked and loaded. You guys are
booked
flying.
Accommodation, actually.
Booked accommodation. That's good. Moose, you've booked accommodation.
Yeah. I'm booked. I'm in. It's
going to probably one of the highlights of the year, the Gold Coast live show. 450 people there last year. Croaks wasn't one of them, but hopefully he gets there this year.
Yeah, I booked my flight for Wednesday.
We pay you for that last year, that live show you weren't at?
What agenda? Agenda for it.
Yeah, sent us a few notes and it was 700 Ks away.
You better pull your weight this year.
Yeah, you're carrying us this year after your pacing job in the morning. All right, boys, we're done. Thanks, listeners. Keep an eye out for an interview over the weekend. Went Bonita last weekend. Saka was doing some good work on social media, finding some old footage of that World Cross Country championship win back in 2004, 20 years on. So I hope people enjoyed that. And rode to Gold Coast Thursday morning, I think, potentially Friday morning. See what happens there. See you, boys.
See ya.